Hi, everybody. It's Dr. Sarah Gottfried. Welcome back to the Health Bridge. I'm here with Dr. Pedram Shojai.
Hi. How you doing?
Hi. So good. We're talking about menopause today, and I want to bust a few myths before we get into how to prevent falling down the hormonal flight of stairs. I wanted to start first with this idea that a lot of people have. I certainly had this, Pedram, where I figured that menopause was like this distant destination. You know, I figured I don't have to worry about it until I'm 50 plus, and that's when I'll fall off this cliff that's menopause. So I want to bust that myth first, because the truth is you start to take baby steps towards menopause in your 20s. And I wanted to bring in a little of the Eastern ideas here, Pedram, because my understanding is that around age 28 in Chinese medicine, that's when you start to see a shift in women's hormones. Is that your experience as well?
Yeah. It's we usually do cycles of 7 or 8 for men or females, right? And so right around then is, you know, at that point, I mean, you think about the history of humanity. I mean, at that point, you probably had all your kids, and you were kind of turning the corner too. So I mean, it was such a different world when this stuff was written, and the life expectancy was lower, and there's a lot of other variables there. But I mean, look at the world we live in now. I mean, how many people in their upper 30s, low 40s are trying to do infertility treatments to have kids, and our timelines have all shifted so dramatically.
The timelines have shifted, and even in Western medicine, we believe that the ideal age for having a kid is around 24. And honestly, I don't know many people who have kids at 24, right? They're just, as you described, more in their 30s, early 40s. And it turns out that if you measure, in a really sensitive way, a woman's progesterone and estrogen, they start to change in your late 20s. So there's a biological correlate that goes with that Chinese medicine. So I wanted to bust that myth first. I also wanted to bust a myth that, that menopause is this state of decline. It's almost like this midpoint in your life where you start to just, fall down that hormonal flight of stairs. And I want to bust that myth because it turns out that it's a choice. And one of the ways that you can choose to really be vital and active and hot as you get older and go through menopause is to prepare and to really, take some of these steps that we're going to talk about today that can help you keep your hormones in balance. What do you think about that, Pedram?
I love that because it's almost like a sentence, right? Like, oh, you're going to get old, you're going to be a grandma, and you're going to get menopause. And it's really unfair, and it's just a word. And what we're talking about is a shifting milieu of the inner balance inside your body that is changing as you change. So if you embrace change and kind of rock out and live life fully with it, then you adjust and you move with those changes instead of wait for impending changes and then ask your doctor for drugs.
Yes. I mean, the most common drugs I see for women as they get closer to menopause are the sleeping pills, the anti-anxiety medications, the antidepressants, and we are masking symptoms with these drugs. So here's my first hack, and then I'm going to hand the baton back to you. Excuse me. My first hack is that you really want to love up your progesterone. So progesterone is like nature's Valium. It starts to decline in your late 20s. And for many women, they will notice a change around 35 to 45. Their periods will get closer together. Maybe they have more PMS symptoms, more irritability. So here's one hack for loving up your progesterone. Vitamin C. Most of us are in short supply with vitamin C. You need about 750 to 1,000 milligrams minimum to keep your progesterone where you want it to be. So that's my first hack.
Love it. I think we're going to have a serious East-West day over here, because I'm just going to hang on my side of the fence. I would say hack number 2, coming from my side of the universe, is really understand that you got to honor your moon. Understand your rhythms and your cycles, and give yourself the space in your cycle to say, okay, well, here I am, I'm in my cycle, maybe I can slow down a little bit, maybe I can understand that my body is wanting to go through this shift on this kind of microcycle of a month, right? And by honoring that, you don't get into this thing where you're trying to like push your way through these symptoms that are so inconvenient. Because the problems I see later in life are the people that basically fought their femininity to the point where their femininity came and bit them back.
Great point. Totally love that one. And I think it's great for us to go east-west here, as we love to do. So number 3 is something we've talked about before, and that is to wrangle big stress. You know, it turns out a lot of people don't realize this, and certainly most mainstream doctors don't know this, but cortisol is the priority, the main stress hormone in your body, and it's going to affect your other hormones, especially your sex hormones. So if you have big stress and high cortisol levels, like I did when I was in my 30s, that will make you drop your testosterone. It'll drop your progesterone levels. You won't make as much DHEA. So you got to wrangle the big stress. Now, we have previous episodes where we talk quite a bit about how to wrangle big stress, so I'm not going to belabor that one.
Yeah, big stress. What do we, I think last week we talked about like big tobacco, big oil, big stress. I mean, it is the elephant in the room when we talk about pretty much any disease in modern culture. It's a 90%, CDC says 90% of all chronic diseases come from stress. You're going to hear about stress in everything we talk about because we'd be remiss not talking about it. Hack number 3 on this end is your sexuality. If you are not, and I know you're going to love this one, if you are not in touch with your sexuality and your sensuality, and you don't understand how you need to kind of take care of yourself and be taken care of as a woman, what happens is, you know, those doors start to shut down, you start to kind of close down, and you go to this place where you get so out of touch with your moon, with your rhythms, with your cycle, that also becomes one of these kind of core kind of spirit level issues that comes with who you are as a woman, because being in touch with your sensuality and your sexuality, whatever that means to you, is something that you're going to want to keep stoking. That's a fire that you want to keep on, right? If you let that thing smolder and get out, you're going to have a lot of other problems, and that's when I start seeing kind of hormones shift in a clinical setting as well.
Completely agree. I think this is such a good one. I think of sex and your sexual energy as being a portal of kind of your bigger vision of health. So I think that's a really crucial one. Okay, next hack, which is hack number 5, is about your liver. So your liver, it's interesting. The liver ages as you get older. It's not like a fine Bordeaux. It's really so curious to me that your liver is where you process so many of these hormones that we're talking about, especially estrogen and endocrine disruptors. We did a show on endocrine disruptors. It's, you know, what's stunning to me is that the same system that shuttles your estrogen around also shuttles all these toxins. So it's very common that it gets congested, and then you end up having a rockier time in perimenopause and menopause. So what do you do to live up your liver? Well, there's many strategies here. One of the things I recommend is that you go on a detox at least twice a year. You know, a time where you get off the booze, you get off the sugar. I mean, you should be off the sugar anyway. Just, you know, and take some of the supplements that are shown to really help you with your liver, like milk thistle or N-acetylcysteine. So that's hack number 5.
Love it. Love it. Guys, it's got to go somewhere. And if you can't conjugate this stuff out, you're in trouble, right? Because it's, you know, think of your kitchen, right? And you have, you know, the little like white trash bags in the kitchen that are supposed to make it out to the garbage can. And, you know, a couple days go by and you're supposed to take it out and you're too busy. You don't get a chance to. A couple more days go by. It's there. And all of a sudden it starts stinking, right? And all of a sudden, you know, you're having a hard time even going into your kitchen. It's hard to even hang out in your kitchen because it's getting funky, right? And so taking out the trash is a natural progression. It's what the body needs to do as you start cycling things in and out of your body. And this natural process of conjugating out these hormones and kind of clearing the kitchen for tomorrow's meal type of thing is so important, and we forget about it because the body is so good at holding on to things and just kind of like, it's like the kid who's trying to raise his hand to go pee in elementary school, and the teacher's like, not now. So you just kind of sit there and suffer for a while, and the body will take it for a long time, but then all of a sudden it'll just rattle out and have all kinds of symptoms. So yeah, detox is, in this day and age, I think it's just non-negotiable. Like, you gotta detox. Next hack on this side is you got to be mindful of the products coming into your house, the estrogenic effects that are coming from the soaps, the plastic bottles, just the perfumes, and all these things. And we've talked about endocrine disruptors. We've talked about a lot of things, and we just did a show with JJ Virgin talking about soy. It's a selective estrogen reuptake. It's a SERM or whatever that is. And you know these things better than I do. These are substances that will capacitate and increase the levels of estrogens and modulate estrogens. But the problem is we're in an estrogen bath. All of these petroleum-based products a lot of times end up pushing our estrogen pathways. So question is, how natural is all of this menopause that we're seeing, and how much of it is induced by our environment, and how much of it can you prevent? Right? You start that at the grocery store. You start that at Target or Walmart or wherever you're going. Look at the crap you're putting into your body, and that might have a lot to do with it.
Amen, brother. I totally love that one. So I'm going to finish us up today with hack number 7, and that is about testosterone. Now, a lot of women don't realize testosterone is so important to your vitality, your confidence, your agency. We've talked about this in a previous show. But here's some of the things that take testosterone down and make you gain 20 pounds when you go through menopause. Eating sugar, not exercising enough, or not doing the right type of exercise. You want to burst train. You want to be off the sugar. If you have low testosterone, another thing you can do is to take branched chain amino acids. It's a supplement that's very effective. So that's hack number 7. Should I do our sexy librarian moment?
Love it.
Okay. Keep me honest here. Number 1 is you want to preserve your progesterone. Take your vitamin C, 750 to 1,000 milligrams a day. Number 2, honor the moon. Beautiful one from Pedram. Number 3, wrangle big stress. Number 4, your sexuality. You want to pay attention to it. You want it to mature and deepen as you get older. Number 5, don't let your liver get funky. Number 6, be mindful of the products that are coming into your body and your home. You got to get out of the estrogen swamp. Number 7, testosterone. Be off the sugar. Make sure that you're burst training, and also consider branched chain amino acids.
Yeah, BCAAs are huge. Also, guys, what are the big muscle groups that really build up the testosterone? A lot of times you want to look at building up your leg muscles. And so, and I'm going to borrow from a word you use that I love. I giggle every time I say frumpy. If you're allowing yourself to get frumpy, you're also allowing yourself to kind of fall down into that well of the menopause kind of cascade of symptoms and all that kind of stuff. If you're not careful, get up, get moving, get a standing desk, get on the treadmill. Also use your legs a lot. And when you're talking about burst training, let's qualify that and say, look, big leg stuff, squats, lunges, stuff that's building up your glutes and your legs. It's where a lot of the kind of the bigger muscle groups are, especially if you're a woman. You want to build up and get real strong there. And we're not really talking about bench pressing, although I think that there's a solid argument for women lifting weights. And actually, Yuri Elkheim had an article about this in last month's Be More magazine. There's a solid argument for it, but building muscle is good for you in many ways, also for your blood sugar metabolism. So I would really look at getting yourself into a gym or getting yourself into a routine to get kind of a little bit more muscle mass to help all of this.
Fantastic. I think we've got a great set of hacks for everybody today. And I want to finish just with that myth that we talked about earlier, where, a lot of people just think that menopause is the start of the decline, kind of the inevitable decline. And I want to be so clear with our listeners today that you can make a choice here. And if you're not choosing to grow, if you're not choosing to kind of deepen your experience on this planet as you go through menopause, you're choosing by default to decline. So we want you to make that choice to keep growing.
I love that. That's actually very much in line with the alchemical axioms of, there's only one way to go, and that's up, right? And so the body will epigenetically start shutting down if you're not growing and you're not enhancing and you're not thriving, right? And it happens for men and women, but specifically in this case, your body will start signaling that things are no longer needed, and that's why I'm saying get out there and get laid, get out there and do what you got to do to feel alive, feel like a woman, and really be in the flow. And in doing so, your body will be like, oh, cool, yeah, this party's still going, let's dance.
I'm going to translate that as go have an orgasm instead of get laid. Get laid sounds very dude to me.
Is that a dude thing?
That's so dude.
That's so dude. That's so dude. All right, have an orgasm.
Okay, everybody, thank you so much for joining us today. We love getting your comments and feedback. Go visit our site at healthbridgeshow.com to learn more and get our free prizes that we give you. When you sign up for our email list, we'll also send you transcripts from our podcast. Thanks so much for being with us. And thanks, Pedram. Thanks for you stepped away from the baby for a little while today. We appreciate it.
Got to do it.
Yeah. Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.